I wish we could go back to a time where I was happier, where I had more friends alive, more fun formats to play, but no, this doesn't count. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mr. here. Today I am back to cover Chronojet Dragon, back in D series for the year 2023. It's been a year since, Strike deck sets have become a formula, financially replicated multiple times through the stand-up deck sets, the Strike deck sets. We now have 4 of them. Can you imagine? A whole cast of 24, and we already have 4 in a year. Today we're going to be covering the first, and that's Chronojet Dragon. The original terrorist for last year's format, and I would say one of the main reasons why last year was really bad in terms of the triangle meta we had. But how has it aged? Time tends to be the victor when it comes to telling what has happened thus far. Is it really true that Chronojet really was the format warping terrorist that we know him as? Does he still stand a chance in today's society? Does he still have a shot in fighting against Shiranui, Luat, Maiko, Yuvberg, Juju? We're gonna find that today. Today's list is gonna be a bit different. I've made this list while playing through DBT13 as a way of making sure that Jet can farm advantage, but at the same time still using enough cards to ensure that Chronojet can still early game, because we need to be able to grade 2 game against strike decks, opponents and whatnot. But at the same time, I built this list in the sense that we are not afraid to ride up, so that we can still unlock our strikes and kill our opponents backwards after they do their one-turn strikes of their Mark and Tenbu or their drag drivers, and then we will overwhelm them and crush them back. So that's really the main idea of this deck. We will go through it card by card. If you want a more complete understanding of Chronojet in terms of D, please check out the link in my description below. It's my last year Chronojet deck profile. You will see how the list has changed dramatically from last year to now. Our needs in terms of how we play against this meta has widely changed. So today we'll be going through it. We'll talk about our right deck. Our right deck, we obviously start with our grade 0, and that is Chronojet, my favorite starter. He's so cute. He's just a little tourist here to see the D series format. Does he enjoy what he sees? And then our grade 1, we obviously play. This is Vanguard Dragon when rode upon, when he's placed on top of Chronojet, so it has to be this guy, you can draw and then enable a crest. So I'll go through the crest in just a bit, but it's like a force marker, but only it's. The second one is going to be Vanguard Dragon when rode upon by a card with Chronojet in its card name. This counts for Chronojet, the original Chronojet Dragon G, for those of you who are looking forward to that. You can Soul Blast 1, search your deck for any grade 3 and add it to your hand. So this ensures you can get your strike folder, but we're going to toolbox Smokey a bit more. We're going to show you how we actually use this Smokey effect to be able to play offensively and defensively. Last but not least is the titular Chronojet Dragon. This is the same card from 2014. I'm using the one from the History Collection. Although History Collection had a really bad pulling in Japan, but this is the cheapest version I could get my hands on. It was only 400 yen, because History Collection was pulled poorly. It's a bad set, but yeah, you can play any version of Chronojet Dragon, the original. You can play either the 2014 one, the 2015 one, or Deadass just play the one in the Strike deck set. I evolved, so it's just a matter of choice. Last but not least, I have to cover the crest. The crest is the main mechanic that all the strike decks have to be able to compete with the modern day. Some may say, oh, this is too fast, oh, this makes it unfair that a $60 deck can fight in the meta. But whatever it is, it's a financial success for Bushiroad. We're going to talk about it. During your turn, you are allowed to perform strikes, but you can only ride grade 3 or greater units with Chronojet in their name. So it basically hard locks you to Chronojet, right? The second skill is that it rewrites the original text of all your Chronojet Dragons to be at 13,000 power. This ensures that you can still compete in today's metagame. It also applies retroactively because the Chronojets that you do receive in the Strike deck set are also still capped at 11,000 power. So yeah, do actually take that in mind. I thought it was very interesting that even for their modern Strike deck sets, they still continue to print the 11k grade 3, but they make it so that the crest changes it. So okay, that's interesting. The third skill is the skill that people hate the most. During your turn, your front row units gain 5,000 power for each card faced up in your generation zone. Okay, alright, sure. This is the main way the Chronojet power scales, because it does not have Persona right, the same with every Strike deck set. So, yeah, most crests tend to have a 4th, more bastardly skill, like how Shiranui gets the Crested Blood to remove the the dominated unit's effect and give him extra power. Luat allows you to infinitely recycle crits. For Chronojet, it's different. At the start of your battle phase, choose one of your grade 3 units and shrink its grade to 0. That basically allows you to be able to time leap your grade 3s into grade 1s. It goes in a full circle. Before we continue, I know a lot of people saying, where's my Luat deck profile? Where is my Shiranui deck profile? Honestly, I may or may not cover them at this point. I'm feeling really tired. I'm going to be fair. This year has been really draining on me. The only reason why I'm still doing deck profiles is because of those 1 to 2 people who still message me and say, oh, thank you for covering this on your video, or thank you, this has really helped me. And that's really the only reason why I keep doing content, to be honest. I don't earn anything from this. I don't think anyone does, unless you're one of those newer content creators where you're just a sellout. So let's face facts, guys. We won't talk about the Gzone just yet. I think it's really more appropriate if I get the chance to talk about the main deck. So let's cover that real quickly. We'll start off with our grade 3s. There's quite a lot of grade 3s in this deck, but you've seen them before. They're not new. Our grade 3s, we play 1 copy of Transfer. We play 2 copies of Chronojet in the main deck, 1 in the right deck. And then we play 4 copies of Soul Funeral Dragon, Noctalgio. Let's cover this real quickly. Chronojet, we play a total number of 3. 1 in the right deck, so this is your right target, and then 2 for striding. I know some people may say, oh, this is too many Chronojets, we shouldn't be playing this many. But that's also because we are taking a cut out of our good friend DivineZ Dragon, which you will see later on. We are only playing a net copy of 2. So the idea is that Steam Breath, such as Chronojet, and Chronojet can be used as Strike, but Steam Breath can also be used as Strike. So the idea is that we mainly just want to be able to get Chronojet in our hands, so that at the start of the right phase, we can use Chronojet as the Strike fodder to more effectively go in the next stage. Is this the correct way to play it? Not to everybody, but for me, I find this to be the most effective. So you can play around with your Chronojet ratios as you want. Some people play 4, 3, 2. I think it's fine. It's just up to you how you build the rest of your deck. However, I mentioned earlier that this deck is meant to focus around early gaming. So we are cutting down on Steam Breath because he doesn't really do anything in the early game. He's just a searcher. I mentioned defensively previously, and I think it's time to live up to that promise. Our grade 3 order, Blitz order, is Transfer from the Festival Collection. Transfer is one of those defensive cards in D series, and I know a lot of people are saying, no, there's no way, D doesn't have defensive cards. It does. Okay, it does actually. So this is our 5th defensive card, in the sense that it's like a perfect guard, in the sense that you Soul Blast 1 and your Vanguard gains 2,500 attack. 25,000 attack. Why did I play too much Yu-Gi-Oh? So basically, it becomes a 25k shield, and it gives your Vanguard Chronojet the red text that if you are attacked by a 100 million attack unit, it gets critical -1. So as long as your over trigger doesn't come with a built-in critical, it basically just negates the damage outright. It forces your opponent to attack a rear guard, or if you don't have any, then it just loses the attack. It's pointless. But if not, it's still a 25k attack shield, which I still think is pretty solid for Soul Blast. You will see Chronojet has quite a lot of soul options, so it's not impossible for us to tap into this. Lastly is Noctalgio. Noctalgio is a very expensive card from set 13, but I feel he's absolutely necessary in today's metagame. When discarded for the cost of Strike or for riding your grade 3, you draw a card. So this is why I told you we are not afraid to ride up to grade 3 Chronojet, because we always still gain advantage. Noctalgio also comes with a much more devastating effect, which is that when placed on the rearguard circle, you can counterblast 1, choose 2 cards from your drop zone, put into your soul, and draw a card. I mean, what? That's really good, man. You get a soul, you get 2 soul, which is really important, Chronojet, and you get a draw. And if you're not happy with Noctalgio, you can always just turn him back into a grade 0, time leap him for a grade 1. It's insane, really. I'm really impressed with this. I know Noctalgio is just, it feels like a custom card for Chronojet, but at the same time, I understand it's a generic. It's not cheap at all. I like Balif a lot. I miss him. But the issue with Balif is that he's really good for numbers, but he's not good for advantage. In this meta game where you fight against my goal and whatnot, you kind of want to focus on the advantage side. Our grade 2s, we play 4 copies of Upstream and 3 copies of Bagadel, as well as 1 copy of Smoke Gear in the right deck. So I covered Smoke Gear already. I don't believe I need to talk about him again. I mean, you can just run backwards if you want to see what I said about him. And then of course we have 4 copies of Upstream. Upstream is our main attacker in this deck. Basically, Generation Break 1, he gains 5,000 power when he attacks. You can cycle him back to the deck. At the end of the battle, he attacks and call it Grade 1 and rest. So basically, he goes upstream to GG, GG time leads back into upstream for your Fate Rider, blah blah blah. I mean, yeah, virtually the song and dance here. It's our most important playmaker in this deck, so if someone tells you play less than 4 upstream in their Chronojet deck, they're playing the wrong deck. And then we play 3 copies of Diablos Man Begadal. Begadal, when he attacks when boosted, gains 5,000 power. Yeah, why are we playing Dragon Empire style cards? That's because we just need to grade 2 game. This is one of our main early attackers, and he's really good at it. But as he scales into the late game, he's kinda useless. So you would have to pay attention as to when you call him and how, or if you want to discard him, or etc. But he's not a bad card by any means, so don't sleep on him. He's one of the better early game options. Alright, I believe we have talked enough about the grade 2s. Let's talk about the grade 1s. There's a lot of grade 1s because, like I said, we are focusing on the early game. We play a copy of Gzone Dragon for the right deck, and then we play 2 copies of Steam Breath. I spoiled this earlier. We play 3 copies of Sargon. We play 2 copies of Friend of the Underworld Ling. We play 1 copy of our Dark States Crystal Beast. We play 4 copies of GG, and then we play 4 Perfect Guards. It's a lot, as you can see here, but we are focusing on the early game. We are focusing on advantage. So let's break it down. We are playing 4 Perfect Guards because, we want to survive, and Alim is an iconic Perfect Guard. You could play Sanctitude, but the only issue with Sanctitude is that it's a Blitz order and that it would clash in with our Transfer. So we don't really want to lose to an in-game mechanic, do we? So that's why I'm just not playing it. So you can just take that in mind. I've covered Mizaki earlier, so I won't be touching upon him anymore. I think I've covered Steam Breath in adequate detail. For those who don't know, you can discard him during the main phase and search your deck or drop zone for Chronojet Dragon and add it back to your hand, so it's your cycle. But itself can also be used as a strike cost. We only played at 2 because, like I said, you have more than enough strike for the here. I believe we should talk about Friend of the Underworld Ling first. Ling, when placed on the rearguard circle, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, move 1 into the soul, and then the other one, you leave it at the bottom. This is mainly the slot where you play Swirler, and I know what a lot of you are saying, why don't you play Swirler? I don't play Swirler because there's very little soul charge in this deck for the power to really pop off, and I'm not really a fan of blind soul charge, because I kinda don't want to soul charge my overtrigger, because I'm just not a skilled player. I just know that's gonna happen to me. So I choose to play Ling because I find it more resourceful. But there's some people who would say, no, I love Swirler, I paid money for it. Then use it. I think it's perfectly fine and good of an option. You can look into it. But I think someone that we will not need to compete about is the number of GG, and that's 4. When placed on a rearguard circle, if you have the Chronojet Dragon crest, Soul Blast 2 and draw 1 card. If it's called by a card ability, this unit gains 5. Why can't Dragonic Dash Scythe take a lesson from this? Why? But it's still, GG is still an amazing card for your advantage. It's an on-play Soul Blast to draw. There's nothing else you can ask for. It's quick, it's fast, and you may be wondering, Soul Blast 2 sounds really expensive. Well, that's why we play 3 copies of Sargon. Sargon these nuts. When this unit boosts and the attacking unit gains the red text that if this unit's attack hits, choose 2 cards from your drop zone and put it back to your soul. And effectively, we now have a mainstay way of gaining soul back very effectively. Any on hit leads to a soul charge too, from as early as turn 1. This shows you that Sargon is really quite effective. Some people play this at 4. I just ran out of slots, but I don't mind playing it at 4. It's just a good card, So really, your main mulligan targets will be stuff like GG as well as Sargon. I know I have to say that because some people are asking me, oh, Ahmed, how do you mulligan for this deck? I kind of thought some decks were kind of obvious, but I don't know, to some people it's not, so I don't mind stating it outright if you need to know. Our last card is our Crystal Beast for Dark States, and again, this is a defensive card in D. Shocker, people say, wow, D doesn't have defensive mechanics. It does. Wake up. Read your card pool. But the main reason why we only play this at 1 is because we only have access to 1. When placed on a rearguard Guardian Circle, choose up to 2 cards that were from your right deck from your soul or drop zone and destroy them, and you get the following effects. If it's placed on rearguard, you can counter charge 1. If it's placed on the Guardian Circle, it gains 15,000 shield. So this is like our 6th perfect guard-ish card in that sense, with Transfer as our 5th and our Jewel Beast as our 6th. Why do we only play one is because if you check our right deck, we have to stick on Chronojet right. Means we only have a maximum of 3 cards to effectively remove. Obviously remove these two, lazy bums. Keep Chronojet because he's the cutest, so that's why you can only play one. One is honestly just nice. You can play one off in order to just nice counter charge in case your opponent is damage denying you. But one is also just nice in the sense that you can also use it as your 6th shield. So that's neat. For our triggers, I think our triggers are also very obvious, but I will just go through them again very quickly. It looks the same as our previous Chronojet deck. 4 heals, pretty obviously. We play 8 criticals because we want to kill our opponent. We play 3 fight draws because this deck needs pieces. And we play the red over trigger. Now, we play the red over trigger, Valnot, because he gives us an extra attack. However, Galmangit, the Dark States over trigger, is still a very good option. So, frankly, it's an either or. I'm just choosing Valnot because I think he's neat. If you want to play Galmangit, I say it's almost the same power level, if not better. So, it's your choice. Now, because it's a strike deck set, we are going to talk about the Generation Zone. We obviously play 4 next stage and 4 copies of Fate Rider Dragon. It's fixed. You don't really get a choice in this matter. Fate Rider is our main first strike, second strike, third strike. He's just really good. When he attacks, you can counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards, put it back to the deck. Search your deck for a card that's great +1, call it to a rear guard circle, choose one of your units, and he gains 5,000 power for each card face up in the Generation Zone. So that basically means you can not only get a multi-attack, you also get to time leap 1, and you also get to throw around extra power on top of the crest. There's a reason why last year Fate Rider was called a 1-5 damage card, because when Fate Rider appears, you instantly just take 4 damage, because the format had much lesser shield compared to today. Okay, let's be real. D last year and D this year is not the same. Now, Fate Rider is mainly what you use to farm advantage and farm hand and just multi-attack. But if you want to kill your opponent and you have saved enough resources, it's time for the next stage. Chrono Dragon next stage, at the end of the bell, this unit attacks, counterblast 1, choose 2 cards from your hand and discard it, Generation Break 2. Remove this card from your Vanguard circle, choose one of your Chronojet Dragon hearts, and stand it. So basically, you get to attack again with your Chronojet Dragon. It's really nice. It's a nice way to put in 4 attacks at extremely high numbers with great lethality, and it also puts up a guard restrict. Because I said this was the 2014 Chronojet Dragon. When this unit declares an attack at Generation Break 2, this unit gains 5,000 power and your opponent cannot guard this attack with grade 1 or higher cards. This was meant to stop, 2014's era of perfect guards and whatnot, but look what they gave back to us in D, and that's why Chronojet is still very effective today. So mainly next stage is your finisher. I would say it's a easy to facilitate finisher. I don't think it's very difficult to use. And yeah, it's really neat. I think the conclusions when it comes to this deck set is going to be a conclusion that you honestly could have predicted. I still think this deck is good. I still believe that this deck is viable, and for the $60 price point, I certainly think it's absolutely worth your money. I think it's aged well enough in the sense that Chronojet players that have wanted to adapt have adapted. But for the majority that's moved on, they've moved on. So where does this leave us? Well, we are in a state where in Japanese D, competitively, we actually have quite a conundrum. A lot of people are talking about our tournaments. A lot of people are saying, wow, I hate Vanguard D because it's full of my Go, Shenui, Luat. But you must also understand, these are some of the most affordable decks in this meta game. Not everyone can fork out $600 for Youth Burn, let alone high rare one every rarity like SIR. The fact of the matter still remains that these are the most affordable options for beginners and competitives alike to come in. And that's really why I feel that in terms of being able to play competitively, you have to learn these matchups and adapt, whether you like it or not. Diversity card, like it or hate it, the fact still remains that, it's for the team tournaments. It's for the tournaments where there's variance, there's very small numbers of cards. But if you're playing in something like an 8 to 9 round Swiss, as your games go on, your top tables will look very similar. That's just the nature of every competitive card game. Yu-Gi-Oh's competitive scene only has at most 4 to 5, or if not 10 at max decks that you get to play at one competitive standpoint. Vanguard has that many, or if not more. Throughout the entire of D2023, even for the times where Gandiva and Willistar ruled, I would still say the meta was healthy and more rather than not. And they did ban Willistar on point. Gandiva, they kind of stalled it a bit because Kidani needed it for the tournament promos. But I still say that was fine because he's dead now. So really how they deal with how they deal with Luat, how they deal with Shiranui in the upcoming ban list, I don't know. This video is recorded before that. But I'm just hoping that as we all look forward to the new DivineZ era, we really look at it from a clean perspective. We look at it in terms of what it can be, and we look back at what we've gone through for D. D started year 1 really horribly. Year 2 was fine for the most part until Chronojet. But year 3, I find it to be a lot more balanced. Decks really started to get a foothold, and we started to see a lot more unique innovations built in. Majesty Lord Blaster has won multiple tournaments in Southeast Asia. Why? So yeah, let's really look forward to DivineZ. I know a lot of people hate the quick start decks, but to be honest, if the grade 3 bosses are at a worthy power level and the promos are fair, I think the 700 yen price point is okay, because who actually plays start deck cards in 2023? I mean, are you being realistic? Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.